Okay, I've had requests on how to make my little hatchling soap. Here's one that's finished. This is what we'll be doing today. So the first thing that I do is embed the little dinosaur into the egg, and you'll see I have the dinosaur turned kind of sideways. I'm going to try to move him around a little bit so his butt is up out of the air when I embed him. So I'm going to melt just a tiny little bit of clear. I don't need very much. I've got the dinosaur propped on a little applesauce cup just to hold him in place because the mold is not flat on the bottom, but for this actual soap that I do, it's kind of good that he's not flat on the bottom because I can move him around a little better. So I've just done a couple quick seconds on this soap. It was just some clear. I use SFIC brand, and I get it from Brambleberry. So I'm going to just try to get this little guy's head placed here in the mold. This is actually the trickiest part of making this little hatchling because you want his head down there. I usually have to play around with it for a little bit. So just put the clear soap with my syringe. It's a oral medicine syringe, and I'm just placing his little head next to the egg so that it looks like he's hatching out. I wasn't able to really get his butt up in the air. Depending on the shape of the dinosaur, they may be laying kind of flat on the egg, but it will still be okay. So there he is, and when I cut him out, he'll look like he's trying to poke out of the egg. So I'm going to just lay the egg sideways like that. Then I've already melted my 8 ounces of soap. This is a big soap. It's a big 8-ounce soap. And I'm going to mix my color. This is, again, just clear SFIC brand. I keep it covered because it prevents a skim from forming on top of the soap while it's cooling off a little bit. And I want my soap to be 130 or below to pour over top of the clear so that it doesn't melt that away and the dinosaur end up floating. For this egg, I've done all different kinds of colors, but for this one, this is my Cobalt GTO, and it's Soapbox Mica's mica. You can see it's just beautiful blue, and it always makes a really pretty hatchling. So to dissolve my mica, I've got a half a teaspoon for 8 ounces. I like a lot of color in these. They're really pretty that way. To dissolve it, I'm just putting in some 91% alcohol, and just into my cup. I forgot a mica spoon. Let me grab that. Okay, so here, just mixing it up and getting it all dissolved. And I know some people put the mica directly into the soap. I think that works also. I tend to always dissolve it in the alcohol. I have the high percent alcohol, so it dissipates. It doesn't leave a lot of leftover in the soap. It'll all evaporate off, and then I just mix it into my clear. It's beautiful color. And I usually like to try to get it all, so I'll even spray a little bit more alcohol. Set that aside, and you can see that is really, really pretty. The Soapbox micas are my favorite. They're just beautiful color. It's Terry Coover's group, and she's wonderful to work with, very generous. Sends you lots of little freebies and stuff with your orders, things that you can try. So there you go. And I'm going to temp this and see where I'm starting at. And I'm at 137, so way too warm to pour, but I'm cool enough that I can add my fragrance. Just move my plastic wrap. So for this one, I love the Nature's Gardens fragrances. They're very strongly scented, and they don't seem to have a chemical smell. That I don't like chemical smells in my fragrance oils. So this one's Mango Tangerine. I bought it as a sample. I really like it, especially for kids. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon in here or so. I might not have quite a half a teaspoon. I have to order more. I bought this sample, loved it, and I will be buying more. They offer the little sample bottles, so that's a great way for you to try things out and see what you really like. and I didn't have quite a half a teaspoon. I was close, so I'll just pour a little alcohol in my bottle and get what I had left in the bottle. And I'm going to set this one aside so that I know I need to order more of that. Mix my fragrance in. And started out a sunny day here. I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia, for those of you that don't know, and I love it here, love these mountains. I'm not from here, but I've lived here a long time now and never see myself leaving. So I'm going to temp my soap again because it tends to cool pretty quick. Okay, so I'm 129. I'm going to let it cool a little bit more. Again, I don't want to melt my dinosaur. And you'll see here, he's nice and embedded. He's not going anywhere. So he's kind of glued to the side of the egg. That way, whenever I go to hatch him out, he's right there. And by gluing him up to the side too, with that little bit of clear, you'll be able to find him. I had, when I first did it, I didn't use the clear and I could not find the dinosaur. It was real hard to find him. So since I'm about ready to pour, I get my egg positioned. These are just little applesauce cups for the molds I have that are not flat on the bottom. Some of them fit in these applesauce cups or even on top of them, and it's a nice way for me to be able to move that mold around. You can also position them with rice, but I just like this. It works well for me. So I'm gonna, you'll notice I spritz a lot of alcohol on the tops of my soap every time I'm stirring it. It helps it not get a skim, and that way you're not wasting a lot of soap that's stuck to the side of your container. I'm gonna temp him again. Still, I'm really close, but I'm just not quite where I want to be. So I'm going to wait just a minute, move it to a little bit cooler side of the counter. The big thing with right now and making soaps is my temperature outside has changed. Whenever my temperature changes and the environment changes, I feel like I'm learning how to make soaps all over again. The humidity's lower, the temperatures are cooler, so the soap is setting up much quicker than it did in the summertime. And even though I do my very best to keep my environment controlled, you know, you just can't 100%. So I have a dehumidifier in my soap room. I've mentioned that several times, and it runs, it's set to 40% humidity, and it's running right now. It runs most of the time because West Virginia is a humid state. We're not dry here. And also, I try to keep it about 70 to 72 degrees in the house. That's the temperature that's comfortable for us. And by keeping your temperature constant, it's a little bit easier to control what you're doing. So I've got a good temperature. I'm going to pour. My dinosaur is nicely stuck. My mold is nicely leveled. So I'm going to go ahead and just squirt a tiny little bit of alcohol over top of the dinosaur.